What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and welcome to the second of the four trophies that we had a chance to win this season but are going to miss out on because our players are not playing well enough and our coach is not making the right decisions. And yeah, it's going to be a very poor season for us, unfortunately, because the board just, one, won't give Conte the players he wants, and then the players they do get just aren't good enough. And then Conte, I guess, because he's upset, decides to, make some lackadaisical decisions that are hurting us right now. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say about it really. But of course, because it's a review, I do have to talk about a lot of stuff. So let's get into it. First of all, can't talk about this game without talking about the full two legs as a whole. I mean, first leg, it should have been done. The fact that we didn't get the job done at our home, that's the problem. And it wasn't a good game. It was crap game, crap lineup. The subs that were made weren't good enough. The play on the field was just apathetic, not good enough overall. And we ended up drawing 0-0 against an Arsenal side that wasn't 100%. Had some players out there that normally don't play, and we couldn't score. And we tied 0-0. So now we got to go to their place with the score 0-0. I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure. So the fact that we didn't get the job done at our place is the first problem. And that's before we even come to this game. Then you come into this game, let's first of all look at Conte's lineup. One change from the weekend. One change. I don't get it. I really don't get it. You got some players that had already played a 120-minute game against Norwich. And then they went and had to play 90 more minutes in the weekend, and you played them again. I don't get it. Rudiger suffered because of it. He had to play all three of the games, and Cahill was available today. I'm not normally one to say, hey, put Cahill in, but hey, put Cahill in. We actually needed him today because Rudiger needed a break. The one change he did make, Pedro comes in for Batshuayi. So now you've gone with no recognized striker. You've gone with the Hazard up top as the false nine with Willian and Pedro in behind. That worked one game out of the 5 or 4 that you tried it this season. But let's try it again. Okay, you get a goal early on, great, but then you concede one. It's not good enough. You're not getting enough chances. Willian ends up coming off with an injury. Unfortunate, unlucky. Well, let's bring on Batman. Let's get the striker up. Nope, let's go with Barkley, who hasn't played a game yet. Because that makes sense. It doesn't. It's a stupid decision. In my opinion, it cost us. Willian going off injured is enough to hurt us. But you got to bring on the right person. You got to change the... Okay, at that point, formation's done. The reason Willian, Pedro, and Hazard does work at times is because there's enough movement out of the three and there's enough energy and they've got a cleverness and the three of them can play with little flicks. That's why that works when it does. On the first goal, when that worked, that's why. You bring on somebody else in that front three with Hazard still up top, it changes it. It's not the same anymore. Barkley doesn't fit that. It should have been Batman coming on. Now you've got Hazard and Pedro and behind Batshuayi. It may not have worked great, but it would have done better than what Barkley did, for sure. And then you come into the second half, finally decide to put Batshuayi on, but you take off Pedro, who, he wasn't playing great, but Hazard was giving away the ball. He looked exhausted from having to play full 90 in the weekend, and then coming into this one he had to play again. I mean, he does a lot of work. He can't do 2 full 90-minute games in the matter of 4 days. That's just not something he can do. So why didn't he come off? But no, let's take off Pedro, who didn't play in the weekend at all, because that makes sense. And then finally, you look at the bench, you've got nothing. Drinkwater's there, Zappacosta's there, and then you got Cahill and Luis. You got nothing there that can change the game. So, of course, he puts on Zappacosta for Moses because he loves that substitution, which today Moses didn't really show us much of anything, so it's not something that really hurt us or helped us. But why? Where's the help on the bench? Where's that player that's going to be a game changer? Where's Musonda? Explain to me how he played, what was it, like 10, 15 minutes, if that, in the weekend. He didn't play at all in the development squad game where most of the other youngsters played yesterday, and that's why they weren't involved today. So, where's Musonda? Where's that difference maker? Where's that player that gives us a bit more of an attacking option? Barkley's not that. Batshuayi is on there because he's a forward, but why not Musonda? Why is he not in the team at all? Why is David Luiz on the bench over Musonda? Explain that to me, because guess what? We needed him tonight. We needed him to come on and do something different. Bring us something else. Bring us something that Arsenal hasn't seen yet this year. Because they've seen everything else we've got. They've seen all the other options, and guess what? They managed to draw us 3 times in a row. They finally went ahead, and we're looking, okay, where's our other option? Where's our player that's going to change something? We don't have one on the bench. We've got a bunch of players who are just average at best. So, in my opinion, Conte, once again, just completely wrong. All of his decisions he made, completely wrong. And it's sad. It's sad to say that, but that's just been our season this year. He has made some very poor decisions, and it's cost us in some very important games. Talking individuals, Caballero, I mean, nothing he could do really for the 2 goals. He didn't really have any scary moments tonight, so I don't know. Overall, not really involved. So I hate it for him because he didn't deserve to get scored on twice like that, but yeah, that's how it goes sometimes as a keeper. Sometimes you don't have any really saves to make. He did make the one from a Welp, but that was more of a poor shot. But sometimes that's just how it is. You don't have anything to do all night. There are 2 chances where they score, but there's nothing you can really do. It's more on the defense. Into the defense, it's really Queta. Not his best game, not his worst game, just kind of average. Some poor passes, but some good defending. That was pretty much him tonight. Same from Christensen, some poor passes, which is kind of unusual for him. He's typically been good on the ball. But yeah, poor passes. And then defensively, did pretty well. Had to make some runs back because they were going long quite a few times. Rudiger, I mean, on the first goal, completely loses track of his man, and then, I mean, unlucky on the deflection off of Alonso to him. But yeah, he should be making sure that Monreal's not having that header. And then on the second goal, he's not closing down quickly enough. Neither is Alonso that was Christensen. Neither of them really closed down well enough, but it's the fact that it flicked off of him that makes it look even worse for him. And he just didn't really help us tonight defensively. He just wasn't really fully there, and I don't really blame him for that because, like I said, he had to play 2 very long games, midweek before. He didn't really need to be playing tonight. He could have gotten a rest tonight, but for some reason he was still in. Moses on the right side didn't really give us much of anything tonight, which is kind of bizarre for him, but yeah, he just wasn't really involved. I felt like he didn't really have any ideas. There was nothing different from him tonight, and that's kind of concerning considering he's been our better wing back. Alonso was same old, had a couple good moments and then had a lot of really bad moments, and I'm hoping that all the rumors that we're going to get the left back from Roma, I'm hoping that's true because we need something, especially since we just sent Kennedy out on loan because, our left back options were so diverse and so widespread that of course we can send out our second choice left back on loan. I hate our transfers. I hate whoever's in charge of it. They're stupid. They're morons. Anyway, into the midfield, Conte worked really hard all game, had a few mistakes, but I mean, he just busted his butt, and he's had to for the past 2 games. He just constantly has to work hard, and I hate it for him that he has to work so hard because sometimes he just doesn't have help in there. And speaking of his help in there, Bakayoko, just kind of average again. He had a couple good moments where I'm just like, okay, that was pretty good. But then all of a sudden he does something stupid like not tracking Xhaka as he's making his run in. Ozil, he's right there alongside him, and then all of a sudden he breaks into the defense, and he's just like, hey, somebody get him. Why don't you pick him up? Why don't you do something instead of being lazy? Why don't you... I realize he's young, and that's been my excuse for him for a while now. Let's give him a chance to grow. But at some point, you just have to look at your performances and say, this has not been good enough. I need to step up. I need to do something different. I need to perform. And he's not. He's not been doing that. He's just been same old, every single game. Average, performances. Just average passing, average defending, lazy half the time. I'm getting sick of it. Willian, I hate it for him that he went out so early. Probably didn't help that he played so much over the past several games. Probably needed a bit of a break tonight. I would have thought, maybe put in Batshuayi, Hazard, and Pedro just to give him a bit of a break and then bring him on later in the game. But, whatever, not my decision. So, yeah, he, worked really hard. Unfortunately got injured because of it. Pedro, kind of similar. Pedro does some good stuff here and there, but most of the time gives the ball away, isn't really helping us out. Most of the time he'll pop up with an incredible goal, though, to make up for that. He didn't tonight, so was really frustrated with him. And then Hazard up top, worked really hard, but by the end of it just looked exhausted. Looked like he had run his legs off. There was one point where he fell over because of how hard he was running all night and how hard he had been running before. So just again, another player that I thought deserved a bit of a break and unfortunately didn't get it. Which is really unfortunate when you consider the fact that we do have other options. I realize we have some injuries, but you've got Musonda. You've got a couple youngsters that can play in those further positions that you played yesterday. Why is Hudson-Odoi playing in that game when you have a chance to play him here? I don't know. I don't get it. As far as the subs are concerned, Barkley came on for being his first game back from injury. He did lack the fitness, obviously. He did have a couple good moments here and there, though, so I'm hoping maybe he can grow off of that, and once he gets that fitness back up, he can perform a bit better. Batshuayi came on and, kind of had a few moments here and there on the ball, but for the most part didn't really help us. Zappacosta just came on and brought nothing different than what Moses was doing, so yeah, I hate it. The only bright spot out of all of this is the fact that if Arsenal go on to beat Man City, it's another reason to keep Arsene Wenger for another season so they can have, we won a tournament, but nothing else. So that's about the only bright spot that comes out of any of this. It's really frustrating because we're having an Arsenal season, to be honest. We're a bit better off in the league than they normally are. But yeah, this is kind of typical of Arsenal's season. We have several games in a row. We finally have a game where it's like, yes, we've turned it around. And then the next game we're losing 2-1 off of a poor performance. Just that inconsistency. We can score freely in this game, but then we can't score at all against a weakened Arsenal side. We can score freely against Stoke City. But then we can't score at all. We score 1 against Arsenal. It's not good enough. It's not been good enough. Nothing's changed. Conte's not doing anything to affect the changes positively. And there's nothing different. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any sort of like, oh guys, we need to step it up now. Normally there's that one moment. It should have been, honestly, after the Leicester game. After we drew our, what was that? I think it was our third game in a row, our second 0-0 draw in a row. It should have been after that game. We should have said, all right, guys, that's not good enough. We're at home against Leicester and we didn't score at all. That's not good enough. Third draw in a row, our second 0-0 draw, we've got to step it up. But nothing stepped up. We drew again 0-0, and then we went on and drew again against Norwich, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And now we're in a hole where we just got knocked out of the Carabao Cup. The league is already gone because Man City's got it wrapped up. We face probably a difficult challenge against Newcastle in the FA Cup in the weekend because, they're always a team that can pop up and frustrate us if they need to. And then we've got Barcelona for the round of 16 in the Champions League because we didn't get our job done in the group stage. We could be out of all the competitions by February. And for a side like ours, with the money we have, with the players we have, with the coach we have, that's not good enough. And so, I don't know what else to say other than things have got to change. We've got to get some more personnel in by the end of the January transfer window. We've got to make some decisions on some of these players. I think David Luiz needs to be gone. I think Bakayoko needs to set the bench for a few games. I think Alonso, he needs to be replaced with somebody. We need to make some decisions right now because if we don't, we risk the dangers of ending up with a no trophy season, a nothing season. We end up being Tottenham. Oh, we were so close, but we have no trophies this season. And that's not us. We're not Arsenal. We're not Tottenham. We're not Liverpool. We are Chelsea. We're a team that should perform well, should be solid defensively, should be scoring goals when we need to. We should be a solid team with what we've got. But no, we've dropped off and we've done nothing to change it, and that's why we are where we are. So that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this game? Let me know what you're talking about and discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.